Vanakkam, Namaste. I'm Jay Naidu. This is my fifth episode, and this first session I'm recording on Sunday, the 23rd of February 2025. In one of my previous episodes, I told you that I have an idea, a theory of where the 10 tribes of Israel went to. They disappeared from history. Many people around the world claim to be descendants of these 10 tribes. I want to go and point out to a map. Thank you. I've got a map of the Middle East. The events took place 722 years before Jesus Christ. King Shalmaneser V of Assyria, which is this area, invaded and conquered the northern kingdom of Israel that was under King Hosea. As was standard policy at that time, the conquered people were removed from the area and they were relocated. Where the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom went to, we do not know. But I have a theory of where they went to. And my theory is that they left this area. They went far from the madding crowd. And they went into the vast, mysterious land of Arabia. Remember, they were lost in history and they wouldn't have gone very far away from this area. And for me, they did go into Arabia. It was a land 2,700 years ago that would have been sparsely populated. It is not a land welcoming to invaders. It was harsh. There were mountains and deserts, very, very few areas that were fertile. But I believe that they came, they brought with them some of their beliefs from the Canaanites, their polytheistic beliefs, and they brought it into this vast, mysterious land of Arabia. If you work hard, the land could yield milk and honey, but you had to work hard. Arabia was not a land for sissies. Why I feel it is Arabia, please bear with me for a few minutes. Thank you. These are the aims of Jesus. He would want to have war. He would have to bring war into this world. That's what he wanted to do. And if you want to bring war into the world, you have to be in a temporal position for that. You've got to be a king, or you could be the emperor of Rome or something. You cannot conduct war unless you have an army. And from what Jesus says, I have come to bring a sword. That means war. He has come to bring war. Not only to Israel, but to the whole earth. To the whole earth. To the whole earth. That's what he wants to do. Why Jesus was so desperate to make the Jews bow down to him, I do not know. But there must be something in the Jews, in the belief that was carried in that period, that made the Jews a people unique in this world. And Jesus wanted the Jews to bow down to him. And he was prepared to bring war to the entire earth. He wanted to bring war to the entire earth. And this is what he spoke. He had to bring it out from his lips, from his mouth. He had to bring into existence all of this. And he opened his mouth and he brought it into existence. Because man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And if we believe that Jesus Christ is God, then all this must manifest. But you cannot bring war into the world unless you're in a position. Jesus wanted to be a commander-in-chief. Very early in the Bible, the concept of kingship of the Jews was mentioned. We have the three wise men of the East coming in and asking that question, where is he who has been born King of the Jews? So the idea of a kingship was present from the time of Jesus' birth. And then in Matthew 27:11, Pilate is asking Jesus, are you King of the Jews? He asks a question, and Jesus' reply was, you have said so. While Pilate asked the question, are you King of the Jews? Jesus made that question into a sort of statement coming in from Pilate. Was Jesus trying to transfer some of his Vatic powers to Pilate so that Pilate's word would become true? That means there is some idea or the possibility of Jesus becoming a king, King of the Jews. Jesus didn't reply emphatically, no, I am not the King of the Jews. I have no such idea. That idea never came into my mind. He doesn't do that. Instead, he tries to change Pilate's question into an affirmative statement. You said so. Towards the middle of his ministry, Jesus had come to the realization that he was not going to be able to drive a wedge between the Jews and their God. With that realization, he began to verbally abuse them. For example, in Matthew 12:39, an evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign. Remember the woman they brought for adultery? It doesn't tie up with that. There was no adultery amongst the Jews, but he was verbally abusing them. He had come to the realization that he could not make them bow down to him as God. With the realization that he could not separate the Jews from their God, Jesus in Matthew 21:43 declared, therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a nation producing the fruits of it. It will be taken away from you. That means he's bringing into manifestation the act of taking away the kingdom of God from the Jews. The Jews didn't have a belief of a kingdom of God existing in a type of heaven. For them, the kingdom of God was going to manifest on earth. That is where the kingdom of God would be. Jerusalem would be the spiritual capital of the world. The Jews would become a nation of priests, administering to the needs of the whole world, not just for the Jews. Jesus was going to take away something from them that really they did not believe in. And where did Jesus take this kingdom of God to? He said he will take it to a nation, not to nations, but to a nation. These are words proceeding from the mouth of the Christian God. He will give that kingdom, that belief of a heaven, to a nation. Thank you for being with me for these few minutes. I'm trying to relate why I believe that the 10 tribes of Israel went into Arabia. Because I have a connection. I believe that Jesus Christ gave the kingdom of God to Arabia, where he was a failed commander-in-chief. Was not Muhammad the most successful commander-in-chief in this entire world? Was he not? By 630 AD, Muhammad had united that vast area of Arabia. He had united them, disposed of all their polytheistic ideas, and gave them the single idea of one God. He made them the most powerful nation at that time on Mother Earth. No one could stand against them. He was the most successful commander-in-chief in the history of mankind. That is my opinion. How does it relate to Jesus Christ? When Jesus said, I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Where there's 10 tribes, the lost sheep of Israel, did Jesus find them? How would he find them? Well, I believe in reincarnation. And I believe that Jesus incarnated as Muhammad. Muhammad is the reincarnation of Jesus. When we look at how close Christianity and Islam are, there is no doubt in my mind that there is a tremendous connection between Jesus and Muhammad. The Muslims view Jesus as a prophet and Muhammad their beloved prophet. Both of them are prophets. Both of them have brought about huge beliefs in them, dominant beliefs. And I do believe that Muhammad is the reincarnation of Jesus. Muslims may accept that to some degree, except, of course, if they have to go to the aims of Jesus. Then they may drag their feet a bit, and I won't blame them. But from the year 630 AD, the world entered a period of relentless wars, never-ending wars. The wars that Jesus wanted to bring into the world still carry on. For me, Jesus is Muhammad, Muhammad is Jesus. And for me, from 630 AD onwards, We are looking at the wars that I term the wars of Jamal, Jesus Muhammad. And we are still in those wars. We are still in those wars. Thank you. For those Hindus who are listening to me, thank you. For anyone else who is listening to me, thank you for your time. Vanakkam, namaste.